Celebrities aren't helping. And why would they? In a country where the big issue now is affordability, outside of, I don't know, Springsteen and a few others, celebrities don't strike people as relatable or in touch. And what their activism mostly activates is eye rolls. Celebrities don't know about the real world. Do what you do so well. Use your extraordinary talents for the noble cause of bringing relief from the problems that ribbons and pins can't fix. I know it's very important to you that you feel that you're making a difference. So let me assure you, you are. You're making independence.
There's this weird thing happening right now where celebrities keep acting like the country is dying to hear their political takes, while the rest of us are sitting there like, cool speech, man. My rent just went up again. And that's the whole problem in a nutshell. Regular people are drowning in affordability stress. And Hollywood is out here delivering moral TED Talks from a stage sponsored by luxury brands. If that disconnect makes you roll your eyes, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. Because this whole awards season circus is getting louder, smugger, and somehow emptier. Because look, I'm not saying celebrities can't speak. Of course they can. They're citizens. They can vote. They can donate. They can protest. They can post their 47-slide Instagram story with the black and white selfie and the link in bio. They absolutely have the right. The point is it's often a terrible idea. Not because speech is bad, but because the way they do it is so painfully out of touch that it actually backfires. And you know what? Ricky Gervais said it best when he looked a room full of A-listers dead in the eyes and basically told them, "You are in no position to lecture the public about anything."
Congratulations for raising awareness. The awareness you really care about, which is how wonderful you are. Ricky Gervais once told the award show crowd, "Don't use it as a platform to make a political speech. You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about."
Brutal, iconic, and honestly kind of necessary because celebrities live in a different solar system from the people they're trying to educate. They're not just rich, they're insulated rich. Their lives are padded like a luxury hotel hallway. Nothing reaches them. Inflation hits, they don't notice. Recession, they'll take a break in Italy. Political chaos. They'll disappear to a third home you didn't even know existed. Somewhere with infinity pools and a staff that calls them sir, unironically. Meanwhile, the average person is doing mental math in the grocery aisle like it's the SAT. Okay, if I buy eggs and coffee, I can't buy hope. That's the mood. That's the reality. And when someone who hasn't felt financial pressure in 20 years starts scolding people about doing better, it doesn't land as inspiring. It lands as condescending. Like getting a lecture on budgeting from a guy who's never seen a price tag in his life. And that's where Bill Maher's whole argument slices through the fog. He's not saying ban celebrities from speaking. He's saying maybe stop acting like fame equals wisdom.
Of course, this is where celebrities say, "How dare you? We're citizens with just as much right to speak out." Agreed, you absolutely do. I'm just saying don't.
Because that's the core delusion, isn't it? That being good at acting somehow makes you qualified to explain economics, foreign policy, or what real people should do with their votes. Talent is not credibility. Being able to cry on cue doesn't mean you understand what a swing voter in Ohio cares about. Here's the part that really stings. Celebrity activism doesn't just fail. It can actively hurt the side it's trying to help. We saw a whole parade of famous people line up to endorse Democrats. Oprah, Clooney, Beyoncé, the whole Avengers roster of Hollywood approval, and then boom, the voters they were trying to impress basically shrugged. And it makes sense if you think about it. If you already feel like politicians don't get you, why would a millionaire pop star telling you what's morally correct suddenly win your trust? It's like being lectured about the struggles of everyday Americans by someone who hasn't pumped their own gas since the iPhone 4. People can smell the disconnect. They can smell the performance. And that's the thing. It often feels like performance. Like the activism isn't about changing minds. It's about polishing an image. Look at me. I'm one of the good ones. Congratulations. You raised awareness of how wonderful you are.
It's having the opposite effect of what you want. Every big name in show business came out for Kamala Harris, from Oprah to Clooney to Beyoncé, and she lost every swing state. A survey of Ohio voters found Taylor Swift's endorsement actually had a negative impact, with 24% saying it made them less enthusiastic about her as a candidate.
Come on.
And before someone jumps in with, well, maybe you just hate celebrities. No, people love celebrities. That's why they're celebrities. We love the movies, the music, the escapism. We love the fantasy. But loving the fantasy doesn't mean we want the fantasy bossing us around. There's a difference between I like your art and I want you to be my moral compass. Those are two different relationships. Also, can we talk about how awards shows have turned into the most joyless, self-important gatherings on Earth? These things used to be about celebrating talent, craft, creativity. Like, wow, that performance was incredible. Now it's like every acceptance speech is a mini campaign rally mixed with a group therapy session. And the craziest part is how predictable it's become. You can practically write the speech before they even win. It's always some version of this moment isn't about me, but also it is about me and I'd like to use it to lecture you. Cue applause. Cue standing ovation. Cue the camera cutting to 3 other celebrities nodding like they just heard the Gettysburg Address. And sitting at home, people aren't feeling inspired. They're feeling annoyed. They're feeling talked down to. They're feeling like the rich kids in the cafeteria just decided what everyone else is allowed to think.
Right. Celebrities don't know about the real world. So Democrats, it's great you have all the big celebs, but people see them as an arm of the Democratic Party, which they already suspect for lacking common sense. I know the celebrities mean well, and we thank them for having their heart in the right place, but just do you. Do what you do so well. Use your extraordinary talents for the noble cause of bringing relief from the problems that ribbons and pins can't fix. I know it's very important to you that you feel that you're making a difference, so let me assure you, you are.
Here's where it gets even more interesting. Hollywood has started treating offense like it's the worst possible sin a piece of art can commit. Like discomfort is illegal now. The moment something is risky, sharp, satirical, or messy, the industry panics. Oh no, someone somewhere might be upset. And suddenly, we're not judging art by whether it's good. We're judging it by whether it's safe. That's why the "you couldn't make that today" conversation hits so hard. People say it all the time, especially about comedies. And whether you agree with every example or not, you can feel the cultural shift. Tropic Thunder comes up constantly because it's the perfect test case. A movie that's obviously satirical, obviously making fun of Hollywood ego and absurdity, and still people try to treat it like a crime scene. Ben Stiller saying, "I make no apologies," was basically him planting a flag and reminding people what comedy actually does.
When movie lovers get together these days, one phrase that comes up a lot and always makes me sad is, "Yeah, you couldn't make that one today." Top of that list is the great Tropic Thunder, which the scolds have been after for years. But in February, Ben Stiller tweeted, "I make no apologies for Tropic Thunder. It's always been a controversial movie since when we opened, proud of it and the work everyone did on it." See, people, it's not that hard.
Comedy pokes. Comedy makes you squirm a little. And sometimes that squirm is the point. It's not always meant to be comfortable. Satire is a mirror. And sometimes the mirror is rude. But modern Hollywood, it doesn't trust audiences. It doesn't trust context. It doesn't trust intent. It's like the whole industry is run by people terrified of a mean tweet. So instead of celebrating bold storytelling, it rewards the safest possible narratives, the ones that come pre-approved with the correct moral messaging. And that's not progress. That's stagnation wearing a virtue badge. And if you want a perfect example of how ridiculous woke excess can get, the Trader Joe's bit is chef's kiss. Trader Jose's. A teenager on Twitter hears the word Jose, declares it racist. A petition pops up, and suddenly people act like the store is one step away from becoming the Confederacy. And what did Trader Joe's do? They didn't burn down their stores. They didn't hold a candlelight vigil. They basically went relax.
Trader Joe's, who for years have been selling a line of ethnically themed products, trading on the name Joe. For example, they have Trader Jose's beer. So, of course, one teenager on Twitter heard the word Jose and said it was racist, and then there was a petition, and then Trader Joe's management did the right thing. They burnt down all their stores and themselves. No, they didn't. They said, "You oversensitive little
And honestly, sometimes that's the healthiest response because when everything is treated like an emergency, nothing is. When every minor thing is labeled harm, people stop taking real harm seriously. It becomes noise. It becomes a hobby. And that's what drives people insane, not the idea of being kind or considerate. Most normal people are already doing that. But the constant escalation, the constant purity testing, the constant demand that everyone perform correctness at all times. Now, speaking of purity tests, let's talk about what happens when a celebrity steps out of line, because Hollywood loves activism until you break the script. J.K. Rowling is the biggest example of this whole step outside the approved narrative and your exile dynamic. Whether you agree with her or not, what happened is revealing. She challenged an orthodoxy and the machine came down hard. Boycott, outrage campaigns, reputational hit jobs, studios distancing themselves, like the industry suddenly turned into a medieval court, and she committed heresy. And that's the chilling part. When ideology becomes untouchable, disagreement isn't treated like debate. It's treated like sin. And once you create that kind of culture, you don't get better art. You get safer art. You get less experimentation. You get creators constantly asking, will this get me in trouble? Instead of, is this good? And that fear kills creativity slowly, politely, with a smile and a hashtag.
Powerful witch hunters now were coming from Twitter, the Ivy League, and the progressive left. J.K. Rowling used to be a villain to the right because she wrote books about witchcraft. Now she's a villain to the left because she has the crazy belief that there's more to being a woman than pronouns and lipstick.
But wait, there's more. Because this whole mess doesn't just affect movies, it affects comedy the hardest. Comedians are supposed to test boundaries. That's literally the job. They explore the uncomfortable stuff, the awkward stuff, the stuff nobody wants to say out loud. And yes, sometimes they miss. Sometimes the joke bombs, but the answer to a bad joke is usually another joke or criticism or not buying a ticket next time. Not dragging someone off stage like they committed a felony. The Nimsh Patel story is wild for that reason. A joke, one that wasn't even anti-gay, but literally pro-gay, gets interrupted because someone decided he wasn't entitled to make it. Think about that wording. Entitled to jokes. Since when did jokes require a license? That's not how comedy works. That's not how art works. That's how censorship works. Just dressed up in polite language. And when that happens enough, you get a culture where everyone is walking on eggshells. And guess who doesn't like eggshell culture? Normal people. People who work all day, deal with real stress, and want to laugh without feeling like they need a legal team. Now, Ma also took a swing at Dave Chappelle for the Saudi Arabia free speech comparison. And yeah, that one deserves pushback. You can criticize America's culture wars all day. Left and right both have their censorship instincts. Let's be real. But pretending the US is basically the same as an authoritarian monarchy is just goofy. In America, you can roast the president on TV, mock religion, insult billionaires, and then go get tacos afterward. Try that in places where dissent is actually punished. And the stakes are a lot higher than getting canceled.